Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Gina here. I'm excited to be here. It's Tuesday. It's my normal live day. I am live today on Instagram and Facebook. So if you see me kind of looking funny all over the place, it's because I got cameras going on all over the place here. So I wanted to embrace my Instagram friends. So hello everyone, and my Facebook followers too as well. So I'm excited to be here today. This week has been a week of just showing up for spirit this week, and that's what I'm doing today. So I'm excited to do that again. If you caught my live on Facebook yesterday, I talked a lot about my why and how sometimes our why changes in life, and how sometimes we see things differently because of experiences that we've had. So today I want to share with you my story of how I got to where I am today, because I think it's an important part. Hello, Sandra. If you're just coming on, please say hi to me. I'm excited that you're all here. So hi, Deidre. Hello. So like I was saying just a minute before, I am live on Instagram and on Facebook today. So I have my phone going. I have a couple different cameras going. So if I'm looking off weird, that's why. So hi, Valerie. So good to see you. So for those of you who were on yesterday, I talked about the why and my why. If you were on yesterday, raise your hands in the comments. I want to see. Today, as I said just a minute ago, for those of you who are just coming on, I'm just kind of letting spirit lead the way this week. Hello, Corey. And talking about what they tell me to talk about, which you guys all need to hear. And so today, as I was setting in my meditation, yes, Sandra was here. As I was setting in my meditation today, I was asking what I needed to talk about. Hi, Deidre. I'm glad you were here yesterday. And so I was asking what I needed to talk about today. And what I got was, yes, Valerie was here too, was that I needed to talk about how I got where I am today. So one of the comments, one of the things that I get from people through Messenger, through those who connect with me and want to talk, and they want to know how do you get to where you think you should be in your spiritual journey. And I was thinking about that this morning, and I was actually talking to one of my students about that this morning, and I was thinking about my journey, and we were kind of talking back and forth about this. And sometimes we think, because we're led one way or the other, that that's the final destination. The thing that I have learned over the last 15 years is there really isn't a final destination. I don't really believe that we go one place and then we're done, because if we do, we're not learning and we're not growing. And as I share my story with you, I think you will see what I mean. I did write a book about my story. It is on Facebook. It's called The Fear Breakthrough: A Medium's Journey to Embracing Spirit. I actually wrote this book back in 2019. I had to think about it. I was like, what year did I publish my book? There's actually an audio version out now that is also on Amazon. So if you're interested, you can go snag it there. But I was thinking today, how did I get where we are today? And I know as we all look back over our lives, we can kind of see how we were led. But at the time, it seems confusing and we don't really know where we're going. Have any of you felt that way? If you have, put it in the comments. Hell yes, whatever you want to put in there. Have you felt like at the time when we're going through things, we don't really understand where we're going or what we're doing or why we're being led to do things or why we keep running into different things? And then when we look back, you know, they always say hindsight is 20/20. When we look back, we can go, oh, well, that makes sense now. But at the time, it doesn't really make sense. And we just don't get it. And that's kind of how my life was for a long time. I was raised very religious, in a religious home. My parents were very involved in our religion. And so we had a lot of those type of things going on. For me, that was very tough because the soul inside of me does not like to be put in a box. And I tend to have a rebellious streak in me. Anybody else there with me? So as I was growing up, I tended to be very rebellious as I got into my teenage years. But I was also going through a lot of things that I didn't tell anybody about. And because of our religion, we didn't talk about these things. It wasn't allowed to be talked about. In fact, I remember some very prominent moments in my life where my parents had said things about things that I considered to be, that were part of my life. They had said things to me that, those type of things are evil. That is not of God. We shouldn't talk about those kind of things. We can't embrace those kind of things. And so, there had been comments made to the point where I just kind of shut down my spiritual side. But when I was about 13, I remember, I think I was 12 or 13. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and hearing voices. And they sounded to me like they were outside my window, but nobody was there. And I remember not being able to understand what the conversation was about, but it was like people were talking in my room, and I didn't understand it. And this went on more than once. I realized I was very different. If I said things to anybody, we all get that shunning, that thing that we're all afraid of, what are you talking about? You're crazy. That isn't true. That is, it's not what we teach. That's not what we learn about in church, because all of my friends were also religious. And so I just shut down to it. I didn't want to see it, but I had very prominent moments in my life where things would happen and I couldn't explain them. Has anybody else been there? Have you just had those moments in your life where you just can't explain them? And as I got older, I shut it out more and more and more because I didn't want to deal with it. My rebellious teenage years, I didn't want to be different. I just didn't want to feel different anymore. I just didn't want to show up different. And so I already felt different because of religious beliefs and because of the way our family was. And adding that, yes, Deidre's saying so many moments in our lives. Thank you for commenting. And so as I got older, got into my adult years, I went through major bouts of depression and anxiety. How many of you felt that? Major times, Valerie's both my daughter and myself, yes. Major times in my life where I went through bouts of depression and anxiety. And I thought it was just me. I thought I just needed, to get help. I went the mental route, mental health route a lot. Didn't seem to work much for me. Medicine was rough. Those of you who have done antidepressants and anti-anxieties, it's rough to find that balance. It's rough to be in that place. And I went on in this space for a lot of years. Meanwhile, like I talked about yesterday in my live, I lost my brother at 17 to suicide. And that was a defining moment for me in my life. That was very much a defining place for me. I went through bouts of more depression. I was scared for my life at a time because my brother was into a lot of scary things. I felt sadness. I felt sorrow. I felt like I should have saved him. All the things that we go through when we don't understand and we can't make sense of something. And so losing my brother to suicide was a major, him and I were very close. That was a major event in my life. That was very traumatic for me. And when that happened, things changed for me in a way. My connection with spirit got very much more intense for me. And when I met my husband, we got married. We were living in a house. I was scared to be in that house by myself. Anybody else been there? I didn't like it. I felt things in that house. I thought my house was haunted. I would talk to my spiritual leaders about it because at this time I was still in the church, and they would tell me I needed to have my house blessed. My house was possessed. My house had demons in it. By the way, none of this was true. We'll just clear that up right now. Anybody else been in that place where they had times where they feel things that you just can't explain. Like, and I couldn't explain what was going on. And my husband's thinking he's married this crazy lady who is terrified to be by myself. And he would go hunting with his family and spend a week out there, and he would leave me alone home with the kids, and I would be bawling when he left. And he's looking at me like, what is your deal, woman? Everything is fine. The house is fine. You're safe. Jeez, we live in Brno, Utah, for God's sakes. Like, and I just didn't like being in the house. In fact, sometimes I wanted to leave for the weekend just to get out of the house. The thing that I didn't understand at the time is that, for one, I was an empath, like major empath, okay? And I'm soaking up everybody's energies around me. I'm soaking up all the things. The other thing that I didn't get is that I was totally connected to spirit, and I didn't understand it, and I didn't know how it worked. And I was feeling all of the anxieties and all the frustrations and all from everybody. I didn't even know where it was coming from. It just came at me all at the same time, and I didn't even know what to do with all of it. And so I went through a period of time there where I was just full of anxiety. We now have 2 kids. I remember hearing people, and back to hearing voices again. Yeah, tell your doctor all of this. They would have had me locked up, right? In fact, my son and I were just joking around about that. Hello, Lorraine. I remember during this time, I was hearing voices in my son's baby monitor. And it was like I was not quite tuned in to the radio channel. And so it would be all staticky, but you could hear, when you're kind of listening to the radio or the radio's going in and out. I know a lot of us have XM and other things these days, but some of us still listen to the radio. And as you're going in and out, that's what it sounded like for me. It was this staticky. I could hear voices. I couldn't make out what they were saying. It was very much like being on an untuned in radio station. And it was very scary to me because I would wake up early and try to exercise before my kids would get up. I could feel spirit around me. I didn't know it was spirit, but I could feel these energies. I could feel all of these things, but nobody had ever explained to me what the hell was going on. I didn't understand. It was nothing that we were ever allowed to talk about. We were told to just embrace, Heavenly Father, because I was raised in the religious sector in the Mormon church. And so it was very unnerving. Has anybody else felt any of that? I'm just curious. And it gets confusing. This is the part that gets so confusing because it's like, what am I going through? What am I doing? What am I learning? Then I wasn't asking myself what I was learning. I was like, what the hell is going on? This doesn't make any sense. Valerie's saying, yep. So Sandra's in. So I need a drink real fast. Sorry. So I went through a period of time during that. I thought I needed more God in my life. If I would just get more connected to God, if I would just be more religious, so I went the religious route. I totally went down the religious route, and I thought, this is what I just have to do. It's because I'm not doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, in the church, in religious, you got to do all these things to please God. I need to do more of those. I obviously need to get my life together, and this will go away. Well, it only made it worse. It didn't go away for me. This went on for several years. And finally, I decided, you know what? I am freaking done with this. I remember sitting in church one day thinking, if I am going to embrace this lifestyle, I'm going to know exactly why I'm doing this and what I'm doing it for. And if I can't get those answers, then I'm not embracing this lifestyle any longer. And it was really hard because half my kids were raised in the church, half my kids, at that point, we dropped off away from the church, and that's a whole other story. But by the time I studied religion religiously for 5 years. Because to me, if I was going to do this, if I was going to dedicate my life to this, then I was going to know my why. And I never got my why. In fact, at the time, after I finished my studies, I walked away from the church forever. Because for me, I could no longer be in that place anymore because I had learned a couple things about myself during that time. For one, the God that I came to know and understand didn't want me to be trying to please him all the time. That is an ego God, in my opinion. That is human God. That is a human understanding of this godlike energy. To me, this source energy loves me no matter what religion I am, no matter what I do with my life. And I am love, and I am created out of that religion. So that was the first thing that went for me. The other part that I realized during this time is that I had abilities that I needed to embrace. And I wasn't going to be able to do that in the confines of my belief system. And so that is when I decided to walk away and to search out where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to teach my kids, how I wanted to embrace my life. And it was about that time that I met another lady in my life. She's mentioned in my book. Her name is Becky. She was completely different than I was. Our kids met at school. And because they met, been there, done that, Lorraine says, yes, because our kids had met at school, I have a rule. My husband and I have a rule that we have to know the parents before our kids were allowed to go over to the house and play. And so we had to meet the parents, meet with them. I just wanted to know where my kids were going. I wanted to know what house they were going to. And so I, because of that, met my friend Becky. And she taught me so many things about energy healing, about meditation, how to clear my energy, how to work with my energy. It was a real major turning point for me in my life. And from that moment on, I just embraced the way of spirit, so to speak. Because the more that I embraced this lifetime, the more that I knew from when I had done this before, it felt so natural to me. It felt like part of my life. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was home. For the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't fighting everything, and I wasn't trying to make something be something that it wasn't. And it was such a beautiful place to be. And to realize that I had these abilities, tapping into spirit, realizing the magic of spirit. Now that right there was a beautiful moment for me. Realizing what spirit had been doing for me all along, realizing the magic of spirit, that I could ask for signs from spirit and they would show up. Ta-da! Like, amazing. And so stepping into that place, this new understanding, not only that, I was now embracing my connection with spirit. I was now embracing my connection to myself, to my energetic system, to opening up to a whole new sense of learning. I mean, the chakras, clearing your energy, what the hell? Like, I had no idea this stuff even existed. And it completely changed my life. Completely, 100% changed my life. And I had to learn everything. I started taking every class on energy healing I could get my hands on. I started talking to people, connecting with people who had connected with spirit. I started seeking out mentors and teachers and people who could help me along my journey. And I really invested in myself. I invested in learning with people that I trusted, with people that I found in my life. And I found energy healing first. That was the first place that I went. And then actually in my path, I was told I needed to embrace mediumship and learn the mechanics, not just this happenstance of just having to connect with spirit, but actually learning the mechanics of connecting with spirit. Because believe it or not, we see Teresa Caputo on TV. That's not how this really works. That's the TV version of mediumship. And believe it or not, there is a technique. There is a way to embrace spirit, to open up, to create a relationship with spirit, to help them understand us. We understand them. We learn to connect on this energetic level. And it's a beautiful process. And I spent a lot of time. I met some amazing mediums over that time. I have taken courses. I certified in mediumship during that time. I also went and certified to teach mediumship, which was something I freaking love to do. And who would have known that nervous little messed up girl all those years ago would now be embracing, not only that, the anxiety had disappeared. I have been I spent several years on antidepressants and anti-anxieties. And I have not taken any of that for over 10 years now, because I realized a lot of that anxiety wasn't even mine. a lot of that anxiety was me trying to deal with all the energy around me not understanding that my body couldn't handle all of that energy, and me not understanding that if I open and close my energy fields, none of that gets in. When I learn how to take care of myself, and I don't need to protect myself from spirit, I protect myself from all the energy around me. I have to. Doing the work that I do now, during the business that I do now, if I wouldn't have learned all of those techniques up to this point, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today. I could not go do a live and embrace all of your energy systems here on a live. I couldn't go do readings and embrace all of that energy on a live and be okay after that's done. And I know, because when I first started and first started trying to meet with people and do healing work and connect with spirit, it was freaking exhausting because I hadn't learned those techniques yet. And they came in steps along the way. And so I went in and I did all my certification. I started teaching mediumship. I was doing private mediumship readings. And then I was told to embrace healing again. And it literally has been one of the best decisions that I was made. I was confused at first because I didn't understand why spirit would have me go and do all of that training, go do all of that, so that now I could turn around and embrace healing. But I've realized now, looking back on it, there was a reason. Because I needed to learn all of those steps. I needed to learn more about myself. It was a stepping stone to building up my energy, to creating a new relationship with spirit, with my guides. During all of that training, I learned all about my guides. I learned how to connect with my guides. I've had several guides come in. I've had several guides leave as I have embraced different things, and my energy has grown because we don't always stay with our same team. Some of our team stays on all the time, but as we grow and as we learn and as we embrace different things, our energy changes too, and our needs change too for our spirit team. And they got our back, so they're constantly on that. So I've had guides come in, I've had guides leave. In the beginning, I had family members as guides. They were never my main guides. They were just part of my guide team. I have seen them back down as I have embraced more of the spirit world and embraced more of the energetic healing life. I've had new guides come in. Has anybody met their guides? Does anybody know their guides? Or are guides like, what are guides? Does anybody, because I know a lot of people get very interested. I get lots of questions on guides. I get lots of questions on, how we connect with our guides. In mediumship, in the spirit communication course that I am teaching, which, by the way, is all about medium, all about embracing mediumship. It's all about embracing spirit. I teach you how to meet your guides, how to connect with your guides, and how to create a relationship with guides. Valerie, 2 of them, but no names. There's nothing wrong with that. Guides are very different than we are. Guides, you got to understand, are not a human. They're not in the human realm. Okay, most of our main guides have lived a physical life with us. Some guides choose to never live in the physical existence, and they just stay in spirit to be a guide for their lifetime, whatever that is. Not lifetimes. We need to say lifetimes, because some guides prefer, they're not, us humans are the ones that want names. They don't care what you call them. You can call them Joe Flo if you want. Sometimes some of them do want to be named. They will give you a name. I've had guides laugh at me and go, well, if you need a name, you can call me Frederick. Like, being sarcastic. Like, if that's what you need to be in your humanness, then fine, call me Frederick. I've had other guides who I have known them, but I haven't met them. I know that they're there, but they just stay kind of in the background. They're, it's kind of different personalities, different. They don't have these emotional connections that we do. And we as humans want to have this emotional connection, and they don't see things that way. It's a very different experience. So if you kind of feel like your guides are like, yeah, get over it, it's because there's not that emotional connection there. They're going, come on, we have work to do. Move past this emotional stuff and let's go. So that's, some of them kind of come across sharp, I will say, is the word that's coming to my mind. It's not that they don't care. It's just that they're looking at it as, oh my gosh, take the emotion out of this and let's do this. Let's be in this place. There are some guides who love to be known. There's some guides who love to be out in the limelight, not in an ego limelight way, but they don't mind being front and center with you. I have guides who work very diligently in the background for me. For some reason, I'm seeing like a concert, and you only see the main people at the concert. You don't see everybody that works in the background making all of this happen. And that's how some of our guides are. That's how they like to be known. So guide work is very, very interesting. Guide work takes time. It takes time to create a relationship with our guides and to get to know them on a personal level. I don't share this very often, but when we went to Peru a few years ago, and it was then, I've always known that my guides are there. I've always known that I had several guides. I've kind of seen them from time to time. It was actually in Peru at Machu Picchu that I met my main guy. His name is Mantu. I know that sounds crazy, but that's his name. And I was shown the lifetime that the two of us lived together. And it was actually on Machu Picchu, of all places, which is very interesting to me because our vacation, I did not plan that vacation. We ended up just going with family. They had already booked it, and we ended up just going. And so to me, it was very interesting how that all came into play. That was one of the most spiritual vacations I've ever had in my life. And he was very much a part of my vacation. He was very much there with me. And it was a very, at the time, it was not healing. I had to come home and do a lot of healing work on it because it was very emotional for me, because it was a rough lifetime for me. I didn't even realize or understand that. But this is part of the healing work that we do. Our guides are here to help us to heal from those things, to work on those things so that we can get past and do greater things than what we're doing. So, so I went on, I've embraced. Does anybody else have any questions or comments on guides or guide work? How that works? Guides are really cool, and it's really nice to be able to have that relationship with them and know that it's there. A lot of times we just need to trust if we don't know that we do have a spirit guide team, because all of you have a spirit guide team. Every single one of you on here have your own guide team. In fact, I would encourage you to, I love asking my guides in meditation to help me to see them, know them, to feel them, and to know that I'm supported and loved in all that I do. And I remember when I was going through a particularly hard time, because as I'm sitting here talking to you all this work, I know it sounds like, oh, it just came so easy for her. No, I have struggled. I told you I am a rebellious soul. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. You're going to have to figure something else out, because that's not how this is going to roll. And they laugh at me and go, well, I guess we're going to be here a while, because eventually at some point you're going to have to do whatever it is that you're being asked to do. And so it's kind of a struggle, but no, I forgot what I was going to say. I went off on a whole different tangent. I guess we're not going to talk about that, because now I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, the rebellious part of me has been a challenge, because I have had to learn that I can't be in control of everything, and that I need to take a step back in order to allow spirit to be part of my life. Anybody else have a rebellious side? Am I the only rebellious one in here that's like, yeah, hell no, that ain't happening. That totally ain't happening. Because I would love to see that I'm not the only one that is rebellious. I swear to God, I think my guides go around a lot going, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. So anyway, back to, Lorraine's like me. Yay. My comments are a little slow today, and I apologize. There is just this rebellious side in us, like in some of us, maybe some control issues. If we put the word maybe in front of us, it was probably there's some control issues going on. I am kind of a control freak too. I remember after I did all of this mediumship training and I had done my mediumship certification, control is a big, Sandra's saying letting go of being in control has been a big struggle. You know, the honest truth is we have control over nothing except for ourselves. But we somehow place ourselves in this position of being in control and being able to control the universe and what happens to us. And we can't control any of it. I remember for a long time I was terrified that I was going to lose one of my kids, and I was terrified of being abandoned by them and losing my kids. And I have no control over any of that. I'd make myself sick over it, worrying about what would happen if this happened to us. Well, the truth is, it's out of my jurisdiction. I can't be in control over that. And the other thing is, I freaking made myself sick worrying over it all the time when it wasn't even my worry to handle. This is where that trust comes in with our guide team. This is where trust comes into the spirit world. Because if we truly want to embrace this spiritual part of us, this spiritual connection with us, we have to learn to let go and trust. And my whole story today is pretty much telling you this is what I've had to do. After I finished my certification and my teaching certification for mediumship, I remember I was in the very end of the class and I was told that I needed to start a Facebook group. And yeah, Sandra's saying it's hard when you feel like you need to understand everything and the why. Yeah, we don't get all of that. And Sandra and I were having this conversation this morning. We don't get to understand the why. You get to understand that this is your next step along your journey. And that's where I was at back in 2017 when I was told to start my Facebook group. Now, I've been a wedding and family photographer. I had been one for over 10 years. I had photographed events. And by the way, I was a damn good photographer too. And I knew that this was not my lifelong career. I knew that I wasn't staying there. And but I was terrified to come out of the closet. Most people that I was friends with on Facebook were all from my religious sectors, from my religious part of life. Most people that I knew lived around me. I had left the church. They all thought I was kind of crazy anyway, because, how dare she walk away from what she's always known. And so it was really hard. My guides were pushing me really hard. You need to go out and you need to talk to people and you need to let yourself be seen and let yourself be heard. And I literally cried and sobbed and threw a baby tantrum fit for a while. It took me a while to get to the point where I was never okay with it. I mean, I'm okay with it now, but I was not okay with that. And I kept telling my guy, isn't there a different way? Isn't there something else we can do? Can't we just stay word of mouth? And I kept hearing no, because you're much bigger than that. You've got to step out. People have got to see you. People have got to be able to find you. And they're not going to be able to find you by word of mouth in your little town of Vernal, Utah. And so that part of me trusting that, starting a Facebook page, being seen, opening up to this new part of me, letting people see my woo-woo side, letting people see my meditation side, letting me see that I embrace spirit and I connect with spirit and I love the spirit world and I respect the spirit world. Allowing myself to be a light for all of you was one of the biggest, hardest lessons in releasing control that I have ever been through. And it's because it was hard and I was afraid. I was scared. Is anybody else scared to show your woo-woo side? Put it out there. Because it is really hard sometimes to share that side of ourselves and to allow people to see maybe the woo-woo side in us, the other side of us that we don't always show everybody because we're afraid. And this part of control and staying in control, we worry about what people are going to think. We worry about how people are going to embrace us. We worry about if people are going to leave us, are they not going to want to be our friends anymore? Hard to share the woo-woo, Deidre's saying. Yeah, it is. It's hard, but my goal, my passion is to make the woo-woo side normal. And if people those who don't believe it, that's fine. They don't, I don't beg anybody to be part of. You choose to be part of the group. You choose to be in here. You choose to come and embrace this. And it's okay. Valerie says I'm reserved. People need each and every one of you. People need us to shine the light. People need us to stand up and say, hey, look, here I am. Let me show you what this life can be like for you. Because as I told you earlier, this life has completely changed my life. Where I would be today if I had not taken this path is completely 100% different. I would not be sitting in this chair because I never would have embraced that. I would have never wrote a book. I would have never come out of the closet. I would have never done all these things had I chosen to stay comfortable and stay where I was at. I would also probably still be on antidepressants and anti-anxieties and still embracing that whole world, trying to figure my shit out, miserable doing it. Because we have to decide to make a change. We have to decide to step forward and do something different for ourselves. We have to decide to invest in ourselves and in our learning and in our growth. And when we do that, our guides, the universe, God, whatever you want to say, will move mountains so that you can become what you were always destined to be. Because you're not changing it. And it doesn't matter when we decide to do this. I've heard people say, well, I'm too old to do that now. No, you're not. You are never too old to embrace the life that you came here to learn. And I don't care if you only live for 2 more years. That 2 years of you learning and growing is way better than you going to the other side and realizing that you didn't step into your own power, that you didn't step into this side of yourself and give yourself a chance. And that's where I have been. I have been all the places. I have been scared. I have been sad. I have been overjoyed. I have been, oh my hell, what is going on? I don't understand it. But we need to learn to listen to our intuition and follow our path. We don't get it in big, long stories. You're not going to have a revelation, whatever that, I can't even say it. And it's not just going to, your guides are not just going to roll it out for you. And this is where you go. And this is where you do. You know, I've just shown you my life. I didn't know where I was going. People would come out of the woodwork. I remember when I was struggling so much with doing healing sessions for people and doing mediumship readings. And I said, if you don't bring me somebody, I quit. Because I need to learn more. I need to understand about, and I didn't know what I needed to understand at the time, but I needed to understand more. I needed to understand how it worked, and I needed to understand how to take care of myself so that I could help other people. And that's what mediumship did for me. Now, I still do. I tell people all the time, I tell people all the time that I do now what I do, the Gina that you see today, is I do a whole hell of a lot of healing and a little bit of mediumship. Because for me, I realized that doing mediumship, solely mediumship, was a disservice to my people. It was a disservice to the spirit world, because I would go and do hour-long readings with people and then have spirit tell me, you need to help them heal. You need to help them get their life together, and spend another 40 minutes, 50 minutes doing healing with them. And I realized that as healing as mediumship can be, people wanted mediumship to heal their life. Spirit's not here to heal your life. Spirit is here to give you a healing message so that you can move on and know that they are still with you. That's it. And a lot of people don't understand that. To me, you want to get real, you want to get serious, you step into healing. If you want to figure out what the hell's going on in your life, you need to step into your healing. You are being called. You're being asked to step forward. You are being told, your soul is telling you, dear God, listen to me for the love of God for the last time, because you need to do something different. Because what you're doing is not what you're designed to do here. We go through these phases in life for a reason. We go through these wake-up calls for a reason. We have things going on in our life because it's like, okay, I need to do something different. Something isn't right. And it's not that you've missed out on anything. You've done exactly what you were supposed to do up until this point. And it's time to start doing something different. Wendy's saying I'm in the, oh my hell, what's going on phase of my life. Yes. You know, Wendy, things are changing for you. They're changing fast, and it's making you question everything that you have ever done. And I have been where you're at because I questioned a whole lot in my life. Why I felt the way that I felt, why I believed the way I believed, why. And there's nothing wrong with asking those questions. You're asking yourself these questions for a reason. There's a reason that you're going through this. It's because you need to take a different path. There's something else for you to do. When we're in the middle of it, it seems so messy and ugly because we don't get it. It's like, what is going on? I don't understand. Why was it okay yesterday, but it's not okay today? The truth is, it probably wasn't okay yesterday, but you've been more willing to tolerate it until now. And now you're being asked to question it. You're being asked to make changes. Your soul is telling you there's something else for you here. And it's time to go on a little journey. And when we embrace that part of it, when we step into this part of it, this is where we find our peace. This is where all of these control issues and these things kind of slough off, because now we realize, you know what? I was never really in control to begin with. I've done all the things that I've been asked to do. It's not that you've done anything wrong up to this point. Up to this point, you've done everything that you've been asked to do, whether you realized it or not. Your soul knew your path. Your soul knows where you're going. And now it's asking you to look at something else. So what is it that's calling out to you? What is it that it's telling you to do? Well, here's the deal. Just like I said earlier, it's not going to tell you exactly what to do. You're not going to have a dream, and it's not going to give you this fabulous little roadmap, and it's not going to say, okay, go here and do this. It's going to say, you know what? You need to listen to this person. You need to talk to this person. You need to call this person. You need to send them an email. You need to follow this person. You need to do this. This is what you're going to get. And it's not going to all make sense to you, but you're going to look back someday, just like I have done, and go, oh, you're right. I see how that all worked out. Because that's how this works. And we have to trust it. Even when it goes against what we've always done and what we've always believed. Because for me, if I hadn't questioned everything that I'd ever done and every place I'd ever been, if I hadn't questioned that, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And I already said that. I just wouldn't. Because I wouldn't have given myself the space to open up to any of it. And so when we go through, there's a reason that we're having a hard time. There's a reason that you're questioning. There's a reason that your soul is going, would you wake the hell up and listen to me? Because that's when it's time for us to make a change. That is your calling. That is your call to do something different. It's time to embrace that. It's time to listen to that. You know, Wendy, I'm just being told to ask you, do you ever take a moment to be quiet and just listen to what you're being told? You know, do you ever take a minute to understand? Sandra, yes. She said, okay, so Sandra, a little backstory. I mean, I haven't read all this, Sandra, yet, but Sandra took my mediumship, because I've been teaching mediumship since 2018, I think, Sandra. And she took my mediumship course. I can't even say it. And it didn't work like she wanted it to. The thing is that Sandra's got all of this. It's just, it wasn't the right time, right, Sandra? Like, it just wasn't the right time. And I kept telling her that she had deep healing work to do, which is what she's saying. And I did. I said, honey, I am glad that you're here, but you've got some deep healing to do, because before we go out and serve other people, we have got to get serious with our own healing. I couldn't sit here in front of you. I would drag in all the people who had lost people to suicide, and I was doing that at first. I was beckoning them in. I was calling all the wounded people into me, because I hadn't completed enough of my own healing. Now, I don't think we're ever done, so that I could help and support in the way that I needed to do. And now I've done, I mean, I still have healing to do. I'm not kidding you, it never ends. Like, but Sandra's saying, I thought to myself, what the hell do I have to heal about? I got to a point that I wasn't happy with my life. Not anything with my family had done, but not understanding why I felt the way that I did. I was fortunate to see her gratitude challenge and completed it. See, Sandra's already made me cry so many times today. And then I was able to see all the anger I held inside from my childhood. It continued, played a role in my life, you know, absolutely. You know, I'm glad you bring that up, because that's exactly how this works. It's like most of us think, well, what the hell do I have to heal from? I promise you, every single one of you have something to heal from. Yes. And it wasn't easy. She had to go visit all the places that she never wanted to visit again. And, you know, I was in another group this morning. I was talking about my healing and the healing that I do. And I said, if you're ready to get ugly with healing, I am your woman. I am the person that will help you get ugly with healing, because healing is not always pretty. And just like she's saying, we had to go visit those places again. And I have people tell me all the time, well, I know that I've healed from that. No, you haven't, or we wouldn't be coming back here. I am not guided to go to places that you've already healed from. I'm guided to go to places that you need to let go of that extra baggage so that you can move forward in a different way. And I'm not this like, oh, so let's talk about when you were, no, the healing that we do is deep shit. It is deep. And you can feel it the way we're moving through it. Most people are like, oh my gosh, stepping in, embracing healing is one of the best investments. I still do it. I have a monthly healing session with my healer too, because I know that I still have shit to work on. And even as I'm growing my business right now and doing all my things come up all the time, and I still have to go work for them. Wendy's saying my daughter had a baby 4 days ago. She has said she doesn't want or need help. I'm wondering what my new normal is if I'm not needed. Wendy, you know what? Embrace that part of her. If that's what she's telling you, when she's ready, she will come and find you. This is where when we heal our wounds, we don't get offended by things like this. You know, our kids, there's a time when our kids need us and there's a time when our kids don't. And, respect where she's at, as hard as that would be. I would be dying because I would want to go see my grandbaby, but I would respect where she's at and know that when she's ready, she will call you. Wait till she's been up for 2 weeks every night and she's exhausted and she doesn't know what to do. She'll call. She'll be ready. Valerie's saying, I have so much to heal from. And Deidre's saying, so much to heal from. Yeah, and it is hard to sit back and wait. Sandra's saying lots of tears about things I thought I'd left behind, all the things I felt I never could say. Yeah, and that's what we do in healing sessions. We go back to those places. We bring in forgiveness. We bring in understanding, because this isn't about judging yourself for why you gathered those beliefs. No, we go back to these places and do you understand why now, from this point of view, why you felt the way that you felt? And there was nothing wrong with feeling the way that you felt, but now you don't need that anymore. You don't need to carry that baggage anymore. There's no reason for you to have that in your life. And when we can embrace that part and let it go, you can ask Sandra what that feels like. It is the most amazing feeling to go in, work on those parts of ourselves, let all of it go energetically, because it's one thing to go talk about it. It's a whole other thing to energetically release this stuff with a healer. There is a whole lot of difference. And I have people say, well, I just do my own healing work. Well, that's great. But we don't always open up completely and 100% with ourselves. And we don't allow ourselves to go in and embrace the forgiveness part. We want to fight against it. Our ego wants to tell us, oh, it wasn't that big a deal. What are you boobing about? So what? Your mommy threw your blanket in the garbage. So what? For some people, that was devastating. For some people, that was a trauma. For other people, maybe it didn't bother them. Other people, maybe they had alcoholic parents or they lost their parents at a young age. They think, oh, I've already worked through that. I've got over it. I don't cry about it anymore. Just because you think you got over it doesn't mean you've done your healing work. It does not mean for 1 minute that you have done your healing work. So there is a totally different, I shared with you a story yesterday about my brother committing suicide and how recent events in my life brought up more of that for me, which required more healing for me in that area. Things that I didn't even realize were sitting there that were holding me back. And it was very interesting because I was having some struggles in my business world. This is a whole other world I have going on over here. I have employees, I have people that help me out. I have a lot going on in the business world, and I was really struggling, and I was feeling that resistance. I know when I start feeling that resistance, when I start saying, nope, I can't do that, that's not going to ever happen. When I start feeling that, I know that there's more for me to heal from. And I had no idea that it was going to take me back to losing my brother as part of this resistance. This is the part that we just don't see. Our conscious mind just doesn't see that stuff. And I had to go back and I had to do a lot of releasing on that. And I've had to do a lot more healing there because we heal in layers as we can handle it. And apparently I was ready to let that stuff go, but it was affecting my work. It was affecting my business life. It was affecting those that were working for me. It was affecting me growing, and it had stopped me in so many ways. And this is where that disconnect comes in, because consciously we think, oh, no, I'm good. Subconsciously, I promise you, you are not good. There's so many things that are holding you back. And, just like Wendy is saying, I want to go, I want to help her, I want to do all these things that I don't understand. when we come from a place of, and I'm not dogging on you either, Wendy, but when we come from a place of this wounded heart, this wounded mommy heart gets heartbroken sometimes, because our job as moms is for our kids to need us. We want them to need us. But also our jobs as mom is to raise responsible adults. And it's hard for us to let go of that being needed, because we identify ourselves as that mom raising our kids, and we want to be that everything for our kids. And then when we're not that everything, it's devastating and it's hurtful. But I guarantee that this comes back to something that has happened to you in your childhood. I would bet my left boob on it, sister, that it comes back to something early on in your life, that there is a connection there with that. And when you move through that and you heal that, this will not hurt as bad. And it's not that it doesn't kind of bother us, because every time, I have adult kids too, and every time something happens, I go, okay, so why are you making it about you? What is it that, what's going on here, Gina? Because you're making this situation about you, and this is not about you. So what is it that I need to look at? What is it that I need to understand about myself? And what is it that I need to heal so that I can approach them in a different way? And that's with everything in our life. That's with healing. That's with everything that goes on, everything that we are going through in life. Even when I was going through some things with some of the people that were working with me, it's like, okay, what is it about you, Gina, that you need to work on here? What parts of this is yours? What part of this is theirs? And what do I need to do to make this better? And we can do that every way. If you're having conflicts with people in your family, what part is yours? What is it that you need to look at? What is it that you need to understand? And what is it that's theirs? Because that is where we start to have understanding. That is where we start to have compassion for ourselves. You know, sometimes when we look at it from this point of view, we go, okay, you know what? They're hard, they're difficult, but I'm also being very difficult. If we can look at it that way and go, okay, so what is it that you need to do so that this relationship can calm down? You know, there's so many things that we need to look at that we just don't see. We want to blame everyone else for what's going on in our life. And not all of it is their fault. And it's hard to hear that sometimes, because our ego goes, yes, it is. This isn't about them. But it is. It's about us. We've made it about us. I do know, Wendy, and that's why I said that. I do know how dysfunctional your family is, and I do understand that. And that's why I'm telling you, there's parts of you, this little girl inside, that is wounded. And we don't want to look at it that way. We think because we're adults, we should just be over it. But it affects our relationships. It affects our relationships with our kids. It affects our relationship with our husbands, our family members, you know. So looking at this, Wendy, I would encourage you to look at it. I would encourage you to, you know, ask yourself, where do you need to go? What do you need to do? How do you need to step forward so that you can live the best life? And you can be your best self. That's what I would ask yourself. And I asked you earlier if you were stepping into meditation, if you were, you know, are you getting answers? What are you being told to do? What are you not doing? Because sometimes we get scared and we're like, nah, I'm not doing that. I've done it. I'm not doing that. It takes me a minute to come around to it. And then I go, fine, damn it. All right, I'm in. I'll do it. You know, I have business coaches right now, and yesterday we had our we have class on Monday mornings, and they asked on Sunday night who was going to be in the healing hot seat. And normally I would have been like, oh hell no, I'm not doing the healing hot seat. I was the first one in line and said, yeah, set me in the seat, because I know and understand now that no matter what they tell me or what we do, it's going to be for my best good. And it's going to move some massive shit out of the way. And when I do that, things are going to start working out better. And I knew that I needed that right now. Like, I've had so many things going on in my life. I needed that for myself. So embrace the healing hot seat, ladies. And men, if I have any men on here, I try not to be, embrace that healing hot seat. It's one of the best things you can do for yourself. And yes, it's scary. And yes, it's hard. And yes, it feels weird and it feels funky and all the things. What Sandra's saying, I now realize that I was the one that caused so much conflict with my kids. Yep. And having to be in control of everything, the way I was reacting to things. this was what my kids knew, and they were doing the same because it was all I had set forth for them. Yeah. We don't even realize. And the thing is that Sandra's had to realize too, at the time she did the best she knew how. And it's not about judging ourselves for where we've been, because at the time she didn't know anything different. Now, because Sandra has stepped in, Sandra is in my healing membership. Sandra, and I love having you on here, by the way. She has embraced the healing world 100%. In fact, she looks forward to healing sessions because of the work that she has done, and it's because she has invested in herself and invested the time and the money and the effort to get where she wants to be. And I hope I can share that on here, Sandra, because you have completely made a 180 this year. She's told me, and my kids have said the same thing, I don't even know who you are anymore. They look at us like we're aliens from outer space. And I actually appreciate it when that happens, because I tell my kids, thank you, because I don't want to be that person that I was 10 years ago. And it's not that we can go back and change it. It's just that we step forward in any way. We release the control on our kids. Yeah, I hope it's okay that I said all that. Because you have done so much amazing work this year, and the changes have been phenomenal, truly transformational. And that's what happens when we invest in ourselves and invest in the time and invest in the space and open up to this new way of living. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that it's easy. And it doesn't mean that sometimes it makes life, it seems more difficult, honestly, like it feels heavier. But when we do that, it allows us to open up to a new way of living and a new way of being. And I know because I'm there, and I know because I've helped many other people get there too. And so, it's something to think about. It's something to look forward to. It's something to open up. If you are interested in coming and learning about the spirit world, I invite you to come and join my mediumship course. We only have a couple more weeks. It starts in a couple weeks. If you're interested about healing, you can message me and go to my website. I am ready to help you step forward in a new way. So I would encourage you all to really sit with yourself, sit with your guides, sit with your people, and ask them, what do you need to do? Where do you need to go? What needs to happen? What needs to happen so that I can step forward and be my best self? And whatever you get, I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to trust that. I encourage you to step forward in a new way, knowing that you will be taken care of. Sandra's saying it won't always be great, but it makes it easier to release the things and find the peace. Yep. And you're happy with yourself. I look at the old anxiety me, and I take a big deep breath now, because I was so impatient with my kids, and I showed up so differently in life. And I don't do that anymore. I'm in such a different place these days, because I have released all of that old, heavy garbage. I had a lot of abandonment issues. I've never shared the stuff that I have shared lately. I have never shared. When I was a child, I was born with dislocated hips. And back then, because I'm an old fart, they didn't find it until I was 5. And I learned how to walk a funky way. I learned all of these crazy things because my hips were dislocated when I was born. And ironically enough, my kids, my oldest daughter, had issues as well too, because it's very hereditary, but now they look for it. They didn't back then. But because of that, I had so many abandonment issues, and I didn't even realize it, because back then my parents would take me to Salt Lake, they would put me in the hospital, and they would leave me there. They did that when I was 5. They did that when I was 10. No, it's of no fault of their own. They're trying to take care of their kid. But to be that young and be left out in a hospital 3.5 hours away from your family, I had no idea how devastating that was for me. And I had no idea how much it affected my life, and how I was needy towards my kids, and I was weird. And there was, especially as my kids got adult, there was all these abandonment issues that I had to deal with because of that situation. Now, it was nobody's fault. It's not my parents. It's not that they were bad. They weren't bad people. It was just a situation. But for me, I had no idea that there was that going on. Even me being the healer, I had no idea that affected my relationship with my kids. It affected my relationship with my family. Like, there were so many things that I had to take a look at in order. And I'm still doing healing on some of that because it affected such a big part of my life. And, I had anger issues towards my parents. I didn't really understand it. It was because of this. And like I say, it's of no fault of their own. They were just doing what they had to do. Back then, I would go in for surgeries and they would leave me in the hospital. You didn't come home to recover like you do now. You would stay in the hospital. You would do physical therapy. You would do it all in the hospital. They don't do that anymore, thank the Lord. But they did that back then, and I would spend months in the hospital. Because back then they also put you in a cast after surgery. I would stay in a cast for a couple months. I don't even know how long it was. I was freaking 5, like in 10. But when I got out of the cast, I had to learn to walk again. I had to learn to do all the things over again. And so it was very devastating and hard. But I'm telling you, I didn't realize until later how much that affected my life. And so, we have things that go on in our life that we just don't understand. But it's learning to work through them and to be okay with them and do the healing work that's wrapped around all of that so that we don't have all of these weird connections and these things going on in our lives where we're needy and we have to have people and we don't want our kids to leave us and we're afraid they're going to die and all these things. If we will do our own work, that will melt away. And you will be able to understand and see things from a spiritual point of view, not from that scared little girl point of view anymore. So I encourage you all to take a look at that. Sandra's saying, sadly to me, I look to the future now with the kids in my life. And to me, Sandra, you did the best that you had at the time, and that's all that matters. And we all do. We all do the very best that we know how at the time. And it's giving ourselves that grace and that dignity, because part of our healing work is understanding that we did do the very best that we knew how. And that's all that we can ask of ourselves or anybody. Our parents did the very best that they knew how. Everybody in our lives have done the very best that they knew how at the time. So it's given everybody that grace and that dignity and that respect, but stepping forward in a new light, understanding that you had feelings about that. You had feelings about situations in your life. You have feelings about things that are going on, and it's okay to have feelings too. It's okay to have all the things. So I encourage you all to step forward if you're interested in learning more about healing, if you're interested in learning what goes on. If you want to become part of my healing membership, there's only one way to get in that, and that is to purchase healing packages from me. That healing membership is for those people who are truly, truly dedicated to stepping in to their healing power, and they are ready. And being ready doesn't mean you're like gung-ho ready to go. It means that you're ready to make a change. You're ready to do it no matter what it takes. That's what being ready means. And you're ready to get ugly with healing. You're ready. If you're not quite ready to take that step, come and join me in my spirit communication class. I have lots of classes. I have an empath course online. If you want to learn all about energy, how to take care of your energy, that class is for you. If you're someone who is sensitive, you're not quite ready to step into mediumship, I would encourage you to go take the empath course. If you want to know more about chakras, healing your chakras, I have chakra meditations. I have a chakra class you can take. It'll teach you all about your energetic fields and how to heal your chakras. That is a perfect place to start if you're just not ready to tap into all of this. I have other meditations on my website. I have lots of things available. I have my gratitude challenge. If you're just ready to open up to gratitude in your life, go take my gratitude challenge. It will change your life. There's healing in there for you. That's where Sandra started with me. And besides taking mediumship many years back, then she started in my gratitude course. And that's what started all of this for her. So I have an abundance course that we're recording right now. It's going to be ready here pretty soon. It's getting ready to be put on the front burner. So that'll be available for purchase here in the near future. So we're working on that. I'm also coming up with another membership that will come out probably in September. So I'm excited for all of the things that are coming out this year. I'm honored to be part of all of your lives. I have received so many messages lately from people, and I appreciate that. I love talking to you. I love connecting with you one-on-one. So if you are feeling inclined, you want to ask me questions, you want to do all the things, please message me, and I'll love to connect with you there. So I appreciate all your time today. I'm grateful that you're all here. Know that I love each and every one of you, and I'm sending you all my love. Thanks for being part of my world. Sandra, thanks for all your amazing comments and everyone else that has commented today. And we will talk to you all very soon. Have a fantastic day.